I've almost arrived at a point where if you've got a football team with some good players, some really good players, like players considered to be among the very, very best at their position, if you have more than one of those guys, noise is inevitable. There's always going to be somebody who wants a contract extension or more money or a bigger role or a trade. Always. Like, well, they'll get Jamar Chase signed and there'll be a resolution to the T. Higgins thing and a resolution to the Trey Hendrickson thing, and then there's going to be someone else down the road. Maybe it's Chase Brown. Maybe it's one of their defensive backs. There's going to be someone. Like, I think we talk about these things sometime during the offseason as if, all right, get this done, and then no more distractions. You have followed the Bengals for the last, let's just say, since Zach Taylor took over. How many different things were there when he first got here? None, because they had no good players. Oh, yeah, there was Carlos Dunlap not happy, and there was the dog and pony show with A.J. Green his last year here or second to last year here. But by and large, not a whole lot of like real hard contract disputes because there was nobody really worth signing. Even the noise about Joe Mixon and him holding in, that had a very short shelf life. What's happened since? Bengals have played better, 4 straight winning seasons. They have good players. With good players come things like contract extension negotiations and franchise tags and good questions about, whether it's really worth extending them if their best seasons might be behind them. Like, I'm just to a point where as long as you have good players, off-season and training camp noise is almost unavoidable. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs 2 off seasons ago, Chris Jones missed all of training camp. If I recall, didn't play the first game. Chris Jones is awesome. Was coming off of winning the Super Bowl, making a huge play in the AFC title game against the Bengals, sat out. Like, that's the Chiefs, a great franchise. You might hate for me to say that, but a great franchise. I feel like noise is going to be inevitable. You have high caliber players. They all want more money, understandably so. They all want longer extensions, understandably so. Like, you cannot act in fear that if I don't do this, there's going to be a trade request. Or, oh no, there's going to be a hold-in. Hopefully your team is good enough and you as a staff are good enough, your staff is good enough to figure out a way to work through the noise. And maybe the Bengals weren't last year. And maybe that's something Zach Taylor's going to have to get used to, right? As long as I'm the head coach of this team, if we have good players, there's always going to be something or someone. So what I would do with Trey Hendrickson, and this is the least popular of the choices I have on my poll question, I would tell him, look, let's talk about an extension, but chances are you're going to want more than you're making right now. Chances are those years we'd be signing you for, you're not going to be as good as you are right now. So tell you what, let's just play it out. And hopefully you come to camp on time. If you don't, we'll deal with it. Hopefully you don't request a trade. If you do, we're not going to trade you. And you're motivated to go have a great year and then hit free agency. We benefit from it in the short term. We could still negotiate with you at the end of this season. And if you leave and we win, you leave. And you're a guy who at that point is going to be 31 years old. Who knows what's next?